Alright guys, welcome to the video today. So in this video we're taking a look at the Thorn, and originally I planned on recording a video for the old school year 1 New Monarchy hand cannon called the Red Hand. I was able to get it during House of Wolves, and it's the version that you could re-roll. So currently I had True Sight rifled and Hidden Hand on it, and it was doing alright, but there really wasn't any gameplay that kind of stood out to me, or one that I wanted to turn into any sort of full-blown video. So I decided, hey, why not throw on the Thorn? And I haven't used it for a very long time. This is my first game using it after a few months, and it still feels fantastic. There's been repeated nerfs. There's a lot of different ways to counter it, whether it be through artifacts, through running a ram, through running chest pieces that grant you more armor if you have some certain subclass on. In general, just as a blanket statement, it's pretty safe to say there is more than one way to counter this weapon. If you're wondering how do these counter it, the main thing that makes Thorn so good is that it can one-shot, or it can headshot, body shot, kill, and you can basically do all of that with a higher fire rate than something like an ISO or a palindrome. Unfortunately, the way or the means of getting that headshot, body shot is through the Thorn damage, and the Thorn damage isn't as significant as it was. You can't 3-shot body shot as you used to be able to in both year 1 and pretty early year 2, so those aren't really options anymore. But it's still a great weapon for the headshot, body shot, but with something like a ram or any sort of armor increasing perk or some means of having more armor, even with hunters, I believe if you run the maximum given armor, and then on top of that the chest piece that gives you, basically there's chest piece, if you're unaware, that grants you additional armor depending on what subclass you're running. So you'll find one that says grants additional armor when using a void subclass. So if you're on Night Stalker, or if you're on a hunter, you'd put on Night Stalker, and at that point you'd be receiving basically extra armor for free. And those are things that I think Bungie has inserted in the game to get a player that would traditionally kind of cry about Thorn, even though it's not overpowered. It's definitely annoying, and I feel like there's a bit of a fine line between those two things. Something like a Night Stalker right now, not overpowered, is it annoying? If you're playing a good one, chances are you're probably not having a fun time, because they can be extremely agitating to play against, but at the same time they're not actually overpowered. And I feel like that kind of applies to Thorn as well, and that's what I've noticed. It's still a great gun. I love it for combating last words and stuff. It's like when you compare it to something like a Palindrome or a Luna, because traditionally when you see Thorn players, you're gonna see them running it with a shotgun or maybe even a fusion rifle, depending on kind of who they are. If they're repping the Fusion Nation or the Voop Nation, I believe as they call it. I don't know. It's just a great weapon to use. It puts the fun back in Destiny, and I just overall really enjoyed using it. Thorn was beginning to lose popularity towards the release of Rise of Iron. You're seeing more and more IS Lunas coming into play, and I don't really think Thorn was the problem. The main thing that Bungie was trying to do is get those players who either cried about Thorn in year 1 or year 2 and try to keep them bridled. You got to keep them contained so that they don't just go on the forums and complain about. I mean, if they didn't bring it to year 2, I honestly don't think there would have been any nerf at all. I don't know. It's just a weapon for me that makes Destiny feel enjoyable again. And there was a period in time that I didn't really talk about it too much, but basically, if you remember the 4v4 tournament, which was like 2 to 3 weeks ago, pretty much everyone, you were kind of required to shotgun, right? And at this point, Thorn I've never for some reason really liked in any sort of variant other than 3v3 or Rumble. I don't like it in Control. I don't like it in Rift, Clash, whatever it may be. I just don't enjoy it in those type of game modes. So naturally, I didn't want to use the Thorn anyway, so I pick up the Palindrome or the ISLune or whatever, and I keep playing, and you notice that your shot gets better and better or whatever, or actually for some reason over time I felt like my shot with those weapons was becoming weaker and weaker. Maybe I was just so bored to the point where I couldn't focus. But there was a point in time where I legitimately dreaded playing Destiny. I try to make videos every single day, and for that I have to play every single day and try to find topics to make videos about in this game that's, what has it been, like 2 to 3 years old, and there's no new content coming out. So it was very hard for me to play the game. And the only thing that keeps people coming back to Destiny, and if you play Destiny still or maybe just watch my videos, you'd understand this, is the gameplay. There's no rewards basically for playing PvP. The only thing that keeps you here is the gameplay. At least for me, Destiny has been my favorite probably multiplayer game of all time. I don't know if it can top childhood games because the whole nostalgia factor, and you know, people obviously enjoy games that they remember from their childhood. I don't know if it can top any of those games like Little Big Planet. I believe it was like Kung Fu Chaos on the Xbox. Is little childhood games. I don't know about that, but as far as like a multiplayer experience in some sort of first-person shooter or shooter game, this has been my favorite game to play. And you know, I played Black Ops 2 for around a year, and at that point I was getting really bored of it. I found that I could, you know, kind of only get on for 30 minutes at a time and I would become bored. And that, you know, that thing is kind of starting to happen with Destiny, and it definitely was present and it did happen when I was using legendaries. But I feel like just using exotics overall, just as like a blanket statement, if you use exotics, you're probably going to enjoy PvP a lot more than you do right now if you're using legendary options. Legendary options, whether it be scout rifles, pulse rifles, or hand cannons, have completely taken over the exotic class. Exotics have, you know, received specific and repeated nerfs over and over and over again because they're easy targets. Legendaries are very broad, more specific, and a lot of what, you know, their effectiveness has to do with is the perks that they roll with. So it's kind of hard to nerf the weapon as a whole when you can get so many different options on it. So exotics have been pushed and nerfed into the ground repeatedly, and overall it's kind of just made the game a little bit more boring to play. Don't get me wrong, I definitely don't hate Destiny, and I wouldn't be playing it or making YouTube videos for it if I didn't enjoy playing it. I do enjoy playing it, and what I found personally is that if you experiment with weapons that aren't necessarily the best, not to say that Thorn isn't a top tier or a highly competitive, highly effective weapon along with Last Word, and even Red Death is actually quite good as well. Not to say that these are necessarily bad weapons or that you're putting yourself at some sort of extreme disadvantage by using them. It just simply put, it makes the game a lot more fun. There's a lot more flavor to it. The game feels fast-paced again using Thorn compared to an IS Luna, and even though, you know, maybe you won't perform as well as you do right now, I guarantee you're gonna like the game a lot more than you do currently. I'm very stressed out right now. I have very you know, numerous amounts of problems where, you know, I've been having PayPal issues and I have to get all this stuff sorted out, so I'm kind of stressed. But I did want to make a video. I think that, you know, whatever, it doesn't even have to be the Thorn. The Thorn is just one specific example. Go back to exotics like Mida, go back to exotics like Last Word, Red Death, Bad Juju, give them a try, and come back to this video and comment whether or not you had more fun playing with those weapons than you did with your current, you know, Clever Dragon or IS Luna loadout. One additional thing is that YouTube has been glitchy recently. There have been people, you know, being automatically unsubscribed, so check if you're still subscribed. There's also an issue where your videos or my videos aren't popping up in your sub box, and the way to fix this is if you go to my channel page and you click on the bell. That will enable notifications on your mobile phone, and no matter what, my videos should be showing up in your sub box. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you're able to tolerate this video. I hope I don't sound like bored or anything. I'm very stressed out, but I'm trying to make videos regardless. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Peace.